Here's the recording for pages 137 to 139. We're starting over here, writing and religion. Like the Sumerians, Egyptians, and Indus River people, the Chinese developed a system of writing. We know about their writing because one of the materials they wrote on, bone, has survived in tombs. These bones were used to ask questions of the gods. By 1500 BC, priests would heat bones of oxen or shells of turtles and then watch as they cracked. They would ask the gods questions such as whether a battle would succeed or what was causing the king's toothache. They believed that the direction of the crack revealed the answer. Occasionally, they wrote the question and answer on the bone using an early form of Chinese writing. As in Sumer, Egypt, and India, the people of ancient China worshiped many nature gods. They believed the rivers, mountains, and forests were alive with spirits. And here's part of a bone covered with some ancient Chinese writing. And then there was the dragon. To the Chinese, the dragon was an all-powerful and kind god who looked out for humans by showering rain on the parched earth and ensuring a good harvest. Dragons loomed large in Chinese culture, in ancient stories, in artwork, even on silk clothing. The dragon became a symbol of power. Chinese emperors wore dragons embroidered on their silk robes, and the people believed that as long as their emperor ruled wisely, the dragon would help protect them. The Chinese looked as well to their ancestors for help and protection. They believed that their ancestors lived in heaven after death and took a great interest in the affairs of their children and grandchildren. People honored their ancestors by offering them food and drink and by praying to them. Important events were announced out loud at the ancestral altar so ancestors would know about them. Chinese rulers claimed that their ancestors were very powerful. The Chinese believed that when rulers died, they went to join their ancestors in heaven. Like the Egyptians, the Chinese seem to have had ideas about taking worldly things with them to the next life. Archaeologists have found royal grave pits filled with bronze vessels, precious ornaments, weapons, chariots, and even servants who were buried along with their ruler as a sacrifice. War captives, too, would often be sacrificed and buried in royal tombs. Now let's see what this is over here. Chinese calligraphy. Eventually, the Chinese created a system of writing known as calligraphy, which means beautiful writing. They made ink from flowers and plants, dipped pointed brushes into the ink, and painted delicate symbols onto bamboo or silk. Each character stood for a different word, so to read or write, someone would have to learn hundreds, if not thousands, of characters. Few people mastered the difficult art of calligraphy, and their skill gave them a place of importance in Chinese society. The mighty Shang. We learned that in ancient Egypt, when a pharaoh died, his son usually became the new pharaoh. So that power stayed in the family and passed from generation to generation. The same sort of thing happened in China. When a Chinese emperor died, power usually passed to someone else in the family, sometimes a brother, but usually a son. So the history of China is marked by the rule of several dynasties. A dynasty is a single family that rules for many years. China's first dynasty was called the Shang dynasty. It began about 1760 BC and lasted hundreds of years. It was probably during the Shang dynasty that the Chinese invented their system of writing. The Shang emperors were busy rulers who liked to take on big projects that demanded thousands of workers. They were great city builders. As Egypt had its pyramids and Sumer had its ziggurats, China had cities with huge walls. Walls so big, it's amazing to think that people of that time, without the help of any of our modern machines, could have built them. The walls of one Shang city rose 30 feet high, stretched 4 miles long, and measured 60 feet wide. Workers built them by pouring layer after layer of dirt into wooden frames and stamping on each layer until it was hard as cement. Historians believe such defensive walls may have taken up to 20 years to build, with 10,000 laborers moving and ramming the earth. Shang emperors also kept hundreds of workers busy making bronze goblets, cups, and bowls. Laborers crouched on hands and knees to drag sleds loaded with ore through cramped mine tunnels. Then skilled craftsmen turned the ore into bronze and cast it into brilliant art. In the ruins of Shang cities and grave pits, archaeologists have found thousands of bronze vessels, often covered with images of animals and human faces or spectacular geometric designs. The huge city walls and fine bronze vessels tell us that Shang emperors were powerful rulers, able to command armies of workers to do their bidding. They must have been great organizers. They possessed a talent for directing the efforts of many people toward large public projects. Many of these people were slaves, captured in war, while others were farmers drafted to do public works. The Shang dynasty ruled for several hundred years until about 1045 BC. Other dynasties would follow, and Chinese civilization would flower and grow in the many centuries to come. And here is a bronze wine vessel from the Shang dynasty. And the elephant's trunk served as a spout. That's the end of the reading of pages 137 to 139.